Lyn Askin, hey, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Honestly, I think you're our first international guest. So right now, whereabouts are you in the world?
I am in Lafayette, Louisiana in the United States, which is really cool that I'm your first international guest because now I can say I'm like an internationally known speaker. This is great.
International podcast speaker. Hey, we've known each other for a while. I've got another question for you though. What's the likelihood or the probability of hitting blackjack when you're sitting down there playing blackjack?
That's a funny question. I don't remember the odds on that exactly, and I have to take a little math to figure it out.
Is it because you're not allowed to tell me, or is it you just don't remember?
Yeah, it's one of those.
So for those of you who don't know,
I'd have to kill you. Yeah.
Your previous life, you were actually quite good at dealing blackjack, but then you became so good at it that you're now not allowed in some casinos, or not allowed to play in them. Is that correct?
That is correct. In Las Vegas. I worked I was a blackjack dealer and as a 21-year-old kid, and I worked my way up through the casino business. I went from the, like the Barbary Coast to the Golden Nugget to Treasure Island to the Mirage. And the Mirage, I became a really good dealer. And I dealt in high limit pit and dealt to every celebrity that you could think about. I became a casino floor supervisor where I watched blackjack, and part of my job was counting cards. And so I had to count cards for the casino. That was my job. And, and then we'd go play on our off time a little bit, and so I've definitely been backed off of playing in a couple of places in Vegas, and
Were you naturally good at maths? Is that one of the things that helps with that? Like, I know a friend of mine, he was really good at it, and he was just naturally good at maths.
I think so, but to be honest, you really only have to count to 21. So
I'll probably be pretty good at that.
Yeah, I and tell a crude joke about that, but no, I won't do it. But yeah,
nice.
Count to 21. No, really, it's a math game, and you can play it well. There's a better way to play the game, and
And I think that's interesting. It's going to lead into a good chat today. We're going to talk about business, and we're going to talk about business success. And look, full transparency, we've been working with you in your role as an EOS-certified. I would say coach, but you're probably more than that. You're definitely, someone who, understands business. You've been a business owner. You really understand what it takes to make a business successful. So for the audience listening, like a lot of people here, mums and dads, entrepreneurs, running a business, and times can be quite tough in that business environment. So I think we're going to have some good chat around business and how to actually help a business get momentum, or as you guys put it in EOS, traction. So we'll talk about that. So first off though, where did everything start for you? Like, obviously, you've grown a very successful business, sold businesses, etc. So, but where did the things kick off for you? You obviously were born in Las Vegas.
I was born in Las Vegas. Every good story starts with me telling people that I had a paper out when I was 8 or 9 years old.
Nice.
And I think I grew up in a house full of love, but not a lot of money. And I think that made me entrepreneurial, Scott. I think for the things that I wanted, I had to figure out how to earn money for it. So I did all kinds of things. I sold candy bars at lemonade stands, had a paper out, ultimately ended up being a disc jockey at a radio station, starting a mobile disc jockey company, started building computers. Of course, I had that casino stint that I had, but all that time I was watching people play blackjack and $5,000 a hand at blackjack. And I was like, man, I feel like there's something out there for me. And some of the players I was looking at going, I'm smarter than you. Like, how is this happening? So I had to go figure it out. And I started building computers. I built one of the first online auctions in 1996. Wow. I built my first e-commerce store in 1997. And then, as it happens, my bookkeeper, who, usually your first hire, your first sort of outsourced person, I got to get somebody to help me with these books so I could do taxes. She said, hey, I've got a client that needs a website. And so I started building websites. Oh, wow. And grew a pretty successful agency.
So that was back when, like in 90s?
That was 90. Yeah, so 96, 97, probably 98, probably built my first, 97 or 98. I built a website for a company called High Life Nutrition, and they
Oh,
merged
wow.
with Chef J, and it's like a nutrition brand that's still around today. And I
Yeah,
built
yeah.
their first website.
Would you have been using Dreamweaver back in the day and Site Pro X and all those?
Yeah, Dreamweaver came a little bit later than that. We were using text editors and things like that back then, but
Oh,
Dreamweaver was my first. Uh, I, I think we used front page for just a little bit, but then
yeah.
switched to Dreamweaver, and Dreamweaver became our drug of choice there.
Amazing to think, 30 plus years later, where that technology is today. It's incredible how things have just moved on. But they were revolutionary at the time as well, though, too. It was
Yeah,
pretty
it's great.
impressive.
It's crazy what we've seen in our lifetime, Scott.
Yeah,
It's hard to believe. Even my son, who's 22, we talk about his life and all the things that have come around in just his short lifetime is remarkable.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I was building websites, and I grew a pretty good business. And obviously, we had the same challenges that everybody else has. We struggled with our vision, kind of understanding who we were
yeah,
and who we served. We struggled with, I don't know, probably had a lackluster team commitment. I had some people that were sort of working on the side, not really working for me
yeah,
much, and that was probably because of my lack of vision, and
yeah,
they couldn't see a path for themselves here. We weren't going to get where they needed to be, and then of course we had a lack of discipline and accountability all the way to the top, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
And in 2020, though, Scott, I had the wake up call of all wake up calls and had a massive pulmonary embolism and
Wow, a
collapsed
heart
in my
attack.
yard. And as I laid there dying, all I could think about was what kind of mess did I just leave my wife and son.
Wow,
My wife's going to have to go to my office. She's going to lock the door, fire the team, lose the clients. And we weren't in a great financial position, because if I died that day, my business would have died with me, and I would have left her a giant mess. And that was the wake up call I needed to realize that I needed to do something different in my life and my business.
mm,
And I found EOS, and I looked at a couple of other operating systems. This is the one I chose. Tried to self implement, struggled with that a little bit, and then hired an EOS implementer and had a remarkable transformation.
yeah,
We 3x our revenue, we 7x our profit. We went from 10 employees to 27, and ultimately I was able to take myself out of the day to day, Scott, and was able to build something that somebody else wanted, and we were acquired, and I
yeah.
sold and fell in love with the EOS and drank all of the EOS Kool-Aid and just fell in love with it, and fell in love with helping people build that sort of legacy or structure in their businesses to get them, out of the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, that's and look, thank God you're still here.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you are still here, and I know people are going to get a lot out of this chat. And one of the things I don't want them to have is a heart attack moment, to realize there is a better way to do business, and I fully believe in EOS now as well. One thing I just wanted to go into there, though, where was your internal drive? You said you were brought up in a family with, without the, I guess, the excess of money, but there was a lot of love around your family, and where did you get that external drive? Because it just the fact that you saw other people, and this was probably like me. I saw people having nice pair of jeans, and I wanted those jeans, but our
Uh-huh.
family wasn't in those positions to have those jeans, so I had to go and work. So I got jobs, kind of like you, paper run, milk run, and just got used to working and earning money. Was that kind of where you started your drive?
That's exactly my story. I never had a pair of Levi 501s, and I never had a pair of
Yeah,
Nikes. And as a teenager, that's, it seems a little silly now, but as a
yeah,
teenager, that's hard for
yeah,
a kid not wearing the brands and things. And again, I look back at that and I kind of chuckle at my naive self, but
yeah,
it allowed me to earn money and to do things where, and I wasn't putting that burden on my parents to have to
yeah,
ask them for money all the time and things. And then I went to college for a couple years, and I didn't go to class a whole lot. I'm a smart kid, but I wasn't smart enough to go to class.
mm,
And so dropped out of school and got a real job. And I don't know if you know this or not, but they'll give you credit cards and you don't even have to have jobs. And then you dig yourself
wow,
into holes,
yeah,
and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I think necessity was the mother of invention for me. I think I had a lot of desire for things and a better life that I didn't have, and
mm,
that always drove me. Now
yeah,
the challenge there is when you get those things, then then you relax and the thermostat kicks
yeah,
off,
totally.
and then you just coast, and it's not good enough. And that's where I was at I was coasting.
Yeah.
I was doing okay, but not like I wasn't really taking care of my team well, and I didn't really have a great business, but it was enough to pay the bills, and we got to do the things we wanted to do for the most part.
Yeah.
Still had
So
to look at the price of cheese in the store every now and then and
yeah.
go, oh, I can't get that cheese,
Yeah.
but
No one can afford cheese now. That
oh God.
yeah. So then you have this heart attack moment, and you decide, right, I've got to build a better business and a stronger business, start to learn some things that are going to help you. You found EOS. What were some of the things that you started to implement? Obviously, you started to get someone to help you. Was that the biggest?
Yeah, I mean it's a framework, or it's a business operating system, and really it's about managing human capital. And as business owners, we feel alone a lot. Like I don't get to really come
Mm,
home and tell my wife about the SEO thing I did today or the website we built, or that's not the conversation you want to have at
yeah.
home. And then if you don't have a peer group around you to kind of bounce things off of, you deal with all this stuff yourself. And
Mm,
if you don't have a team really supporting you, and you don't build a leadership team, well, sometimes it feels like you against the world. And so EOS is about managing human capital, building yourself a leadership team that all aligns with the same vision, and we're
yeah.
all headed in the same direction. We can all see a path for our futures together. And so building a leadership team was huge for us, and getting input, because I thought I knew it all. And I thought this is my way and this is the way we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But my team was smart too. I think it
Yeah.
was Steve Jobs probably said, man, I don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. I hire smart people so they can tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Such
and
a
I, and I got
interesting.
that mindset. I just like, man, these guys are smart. How do we do this thing together? How can
Yeah.
I build a team that has a common goal? And
Yeah.
and that's the thing that we're really trying to do in EOS.
Yeah, and that's exciting, right? It's interesting though, because building a business is not for everyone, right? I was talking to a gentleman the other night at a book launch, and he was asking how many people I had, and he said, "Oh, I got," when he was talking about his business, he got to a stage where he had 13 people, and he couldn't handle it. He said there was just too much bitching and moaning and internal fighting and all this sort of stuff. So he got rid of them all and just went back to himself, and it kind of made me realize, if you don't actually have help, if you don't actually set the vision and have a real strong purpose, and then have some core values and a way of creating a culture, you can see how it can get away on businesses, right? Business is hard, and it's hard on people. And this up here is probably the thing that gets stretched the most in business. And I did feel a little bit of a tinge there, sorriness for him, but at the same time, he feels better the place he's in. But yeah, so I guess building a leadership team was a key part to that. So for me, I just wanted to go into, like, I started reading the book Traction, which Gino Wickman, Get a Grip on Your Business, which really led me into the whole EOS framework. So let's go through that and actually break it down a little bit to help a business. Maybe let's help Paul, who was the signwriting guy and has 13 people, and is actually businesses blowing up in front of him. Where would you see he could be getting help, and how could he have turned that situation around?
I think his is a classic story. I think if you read books like The E-Myth Revisited, it is that story where you start a business, and it's because you're good at something. You're
Mm,
good at this one thing. Maybe you're Sally and you're baking pies, and you're just good at
yeah,
baking pies. And your friends are like, "Hey, you should start a business. You should sell these to people. You'd make a lot of money." And what you don't realize is a business is more than just baking pies. It's now we got sales, we got marketing, I got to figure out how to clone myself and build. I got to
yeah,
get more people, and then I got to do fulfillment. I got to deal with customer service, and I got to finance and taxes and accounting, and oh my God. And so you start to hire, and you're not qualified, or you don't really know how to do all of that. Next thing
no,
you know, you got a big team of people that you don't know what to do with. And you might not even hired them all. You might have delegated that off to somebody
yeah,
else. And this is the story of like E-Myth Revisited. And you wake up one day and you're like, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go in. And then you tell your wife, and she's like, yeah, but if you don't, who will? And so this is the classic story. And at some point you're like, man, I was making more money when I was just me.
yeah,
And you fire everybody. And
yeah.
that sounds 100% like what he did. And before we get into Traction, if you don't mind, I'm going to grab a book right there. I'm going to read to
Totally
you the first line from it.
nice. I love seeing books behind people.
So this is Patrick
Oh,
Lencioni's
yes.
5 Dysfunctions of a
Totally
Team.
good.
And the very first line of this book says, not finance, not strategy, not technology. It is teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, both because it is so powerful and so rare. If you could get all the people in your organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry and any market against any competition at any time. Guys, it's about people. It's about building a cohesive team that's all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, hopefully in the same cadence.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got some people in the back, you got to kick off the boat. But if you can get your team going in the right way, heck, great things can happen.
Yeah. Why do you think teamwork is so rare in the business environment where you see it inside sporting environments, etc.? And look, some teams are better than others, right? But why do you think it's so rare? Like, is it because one, we maybe don't have a coach helping us see the bigger picture? Two, we don't have the right leaders inside the teams, and also maybe you don't have the people in the right positions. Maybe we have the left back playing, centre mid, that type of stuff. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's all of that. It's exactly what I would have said. I would have said coaching is really, really important. You got to have somebody who's played this game at a higher level, who can see what you can't see. I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways to say it. You can say, can't see the picture when you're standing in the frame.
Yeah,
Can't see the label from inside the jar. Like whatever that is, you need. I think we all need coaching. We all need a peer group. And we need a framework. And so I think those things are all really important for us to be successful. And in your great teams, you've got somebody who's been who coaches you along and can see when you're swinging the club wrong or you're shooting wrong, and the stuff that you just can't see.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And the big part of this is, I mean, there's several parts of it, but you all have to agree on a common vision or a common goal. And on a sports team, that's pretty evident. It's we want to win this thing. We want to win this championship. We want to win these things. In business, man, a good part of your team's just coming to work and clocking in, clocking out. And they have no desire to be a part of that vision or whatever. And so you've got to build a really compelling vision on where we're going. And you got to have a real good purpose. So you got to have a purpose, a cause, a passion that all of us can get behind. Or else it's just, hey, I'm coming to work, clocking in, clocking out. Don't bug me. I'll do my job. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
So
it's all they're ever going to have unless you ignite, those things, right? And so that teamwork is so important. And I think when I look at that situation, I guarantee the person didn't have any teamwork. Which is sad, but at the same time, he's happy now, so it's all good. So how would you help someone in that situation? Because there'll be people listening to this, and I know there'll be people listening to this because I know some of the people listening own those size of businesses and more. You're getting up around the 15, 20, 30 people, and it's really starting to, you actually have to change as a person. You can't be the person that you were, 5, 6, 7 years ago that when you started this business. I know this from my own experience, and it can be quite confronting for a lot of people.
For sure. I mean, you can't, what's the expression? Can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, right? We've got to find our good friend. I think Chris Rodriguez. I called her one day and I asked her about her experience with EOS, and what she told me was really compelling. And she said, Lyn, you can run your business on guesswork. You can run it on hard work, or you can run it on a framework.
Yeah.
And that's what EOS. It's a framework for managing the capital in your business. It's a framework for setting a great vision and getting that vision followed by all. It's a framework for getting the right people in the right seats. It's a framework for running your business on real facts and figures and numbers and not emotion. It's a framework for being able to solve problems as they arise in your business. It's a framework for systemizing your processes so your team is doing the right things the right way and the best way every time. And it's a system for building that traction or that momentum that you need to actually move your business forward.
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it, because everyone listening to this who's owned a business has run their business on guesswork. We all have, right? Like that's part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. And guess what we've also done? We've also run it on hard work. We've also, I remember, back in the early days of this business, being up till 2 a.m. in the morning and then being at work at 8 in the morning, like just, and running the business on a credit card, like that was how you just drove it. You drove so hard, but it was never going to be sustainable, because you're just going to burn out, right? And everyone's done that. I don't know a business owner that probably hasn't. But the cool part is when you find another way, there's another way, there's a framework. So let's talk about some of the frameworks, because I think that's, I think there'll be some business owners here leaning in right now going, come on. Let's hear about some of these frameworks.
Well, if you were to think about the most important things in our business, obviously, when we install EOS with a company, we start with 5 foundational tools. And so if you're out there listening and you just want to do this the 80-20 way, and you want, like, Lyn, what are the 20% of the things I need to do to get 80% of the results? I would say, number one, you guys should build out your vision traction organizer. It's a really simple 2-page document. If you were to search VTO or vision traction organizer EOS, you'd find this 2-page document. But what's interesting about that document, it's a 2-page business plan, and on it, there's just 8 questions. So it's not super complex. We don't do this, 40-page strategic planning thing. We just ask you to answer and get on the same page with the answer to 8 questions. Those questions are, number one, what are your core values? Number 2, what is your core focus? Like, what do you do better than anybody in the world? And what is your purpose, cause, passion? And then we ask you to build out your 10-year target. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, this business? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? Then we build out your marketing strategy, and that's multiple parts to that. Then we build out a 3-year picture. And what we say is, like, okay, if this is where we got to be in 10, where do we have to be in 3? And not just a number. We're going to do the numbers and the metrics and the measurables and the profit and all that stuff. But I want to know, what does it look like? What do you see when we're successful 3 years from now? What do you see? What does your business look like, from how many team members to how many offices to how many account managers to whatever? Are we doing our corporate retreats in person in New Zealand? What do we do? Like, what does it look like? Because if you can see it, and everybody in your team can see it, the odds of you achieving it, of course, are significantly greater. Yeah. And so then we build out your 1-year plan. We say, all right, if that's where we're going to be in 3, where are we going to be in 1? And so we build out a 1-year plan. We set some goals for the year, and then we build what we call rocks. Now, rocks are the biggest business priority for the next 90 days. The concept of rocks came from Stephen Covey. He was talking about your available time and how much time you have in the day. And he had a glass cylinder on the table. And next to it was a pile of rocks and a pile of pebbles and a pile of sand. And those rocks represent the big things in your life. The pile of pebbles represents, your obligations and the things you have to do. And then the sand was just everything else, your distractions and all that stuff. And if you put that stuff in the jar in the wrong order, Scott, it won't fit. It won't all fit. If you put the sand in first, and then you put the pebbles, and then you put the rocks don't fit. No. But if you put them in the right order and you focus on the first things first, or the most important things first, and you put those rocks in, when you put the pebbles in, they'll filter in around the rocks, and then you pour the sand in, filters in around the pebbles, and then, heck, he grabbed a glass of water and he poured it, and it fit too. So it was just and so the concept of rocks came from him. It was popularized by Vern Harnish, and of course we adopted it in EOS. And so we're going to help you set a set of rocks every quarter that moves you forward. And then, of course, we have what we call our issues list, because we can't do everything today. We got to figure out the priorities, and there's going to be stuff left over. We got to throw that on the issues list and compartmentalize it so we know how to handle it in the future. And so that's the first thing. You got to get that stuff together. And then, of course, you can build out an accountability chart. Accountability chart is about building the company that you want to have 6 to 12 months from now. It is not an org chart. It's different. What I mean by that is each function of your business has some roles and responsibilities, and we do structure first, then people second. So what does this company need to look like 6 to 12 months from now, and who's the right person to put in that seat? Then, of course, we build a set of rocks. We teach you how to have a weekly meeting pulse with your team, and then we build out a scorecard. And the scorecard is really just designed for you to look at. in an easy way and understand if your business is on track or off track for the week. That's the 80-20 of EOS right there.
And it sounds a lot, right? And one of the things I see inside EOS is how practical it is, because it actually is a lot, but then it's not a lot as well, because you break everything down, and you start with the big picture, and then building from that big picture down, and then you look at your rocks, which is your 90-day world, and we live in a 90-day world where we're moving things forward, and that's been a big game changer. But just to have that practical framework. And so I think if anyone's listening, it's definitely take the time to download that and start to do some thinking, because guesswork and hard work, it's not the answer. So definitely it's a great start to the 80-20. What are some of the successes you've seen with EOS and helping businesses?
Oh man, I've seen leadership teams grow. I've seen business owners and visionaries get time back in their lives. I've seen them, go from working 50, 60, 70 hours a week to 40 or 50, I've seen leadership teams take over roles and positions that this visionary was sitting in. I've seen huge financial growth. I don't have any specific numbers for you, but the agencies that I've worked with, they're growing and they're getting bigger and they're expanding and they have great vision for that.
Yeah.
So,
because it builds confidence, right? Like having this around you builds confidence. It gives you that framework that you can actually, employ good people and get out of their way and give them the tools to be successful. A great one for me yesterday was having a conversation with a guy I've known for probably about 7 or 8 years. He became a client probably about 8 months ago. He said, your team and what you're doing is amazing, but the most interesting part is you're not involved. And I said, he said, how good is that? And I said, yeah. I said, look, that's what we've been working towards. I don't need to be involved in everything. And he said, your team's amazing. They just take full ownership of everything, and I thought to myself that was internally, I'm like, yes. That is exactly why EOS is so powerful, because before I would have been in everything, and he's actually happy that I'm not.
Why? I got to ask you, why do you think that is? What do you think was the thing that, you had a great team, but what do you think was the thing that made them really just gravitate to taking over and running the show? And I'm just curious what you'd think.
Definitely giving people ownership. Giving them the clarity of their role and the ownership to really go in and be the best that they can be, and we have a theme. We have themes throughout the year. Last year was about being intentional. This year is about Thrive in 25. So, there's 3 things inside that: own it, elevate it, celebrate it. So everyone is accountable. Everyone knows exactly, and I think the biggest driver of that though is our core values. We have really, really strong core values, and I think they drive the business. We have a stand up meeting every morning, 9:15. Today was an own it moment. What was your own it moment? So the people were going around talking about other team members and how they'd owned a particular moment when dealing with clients and stuff like that. Tomorrow is Teach Me Thursday. So people will get up and teach everyone one simple thing, So we have really good core values that allow everyone to work together. One of our core values is be team focused, that is, everyone has a role to do in the business, but also you should be helping the team, and which actually then helps the clients. Another core value is results, not reasons. We understand that business owners want results. They don't want the reasons why things have worked or not worked. They actually just want the results. So we don't spend time, even if it's not our problem, we don't spend time blaming. We spend time owning it. And I think that's been one of the biggest things, where everyone now goes, well, yeah, Scott doesn't need to be here. Olivia doesn't need to be here. Olivia Brand doesn't need to be here. I look after the client. They're my responsibility, and I own it.
It's really powerful to have really strong core values, because the core values really define what you guys want from the culture of your company. There are a handful of rules that our employees have to live by to be considered a good employee here. You
Yeah.
have to consistently exhibit these handful of core values. It's a simple set of rules. It gives them clarity on how they should treat our clients, how we should behave, we should treat each other, what our mindset should be, and then you have to use them in your business. You can't just put them on the wall and put them on a poster or on a mug.
Probably the biggest game changer in our business.
Yeah.
Having good core values, and the cool thing is we just retired two into the Hall of Fame. Celebrate your victories, been retired into the Hall of Fame. It's not that we're never going to have that core value. It's just part of who we are now. And world-class training, world-class outcomes has been retired. Once again, we're still doing training, but it's part of the ethos. So then we brought in another one, address the elephant, eat the frog, which is around having those 10% conversations, which is something that we learned from you. And then the team went on our day, our team day, we brainstormed one together. So everyone had input into the next core value, which has been so exciting because it's everyone's core value. It wasn't mine that I created; it was everyone's, which was courage over comfort, and such a great core value when it comes to growth-focused mindsets, and looking at situations where I'm going to have courage over comfort here.
One of the things that I think is important to understand is we teach our teams and we teach our leadership teams that there are two kind of essential ingredients for them to grow as humans, as team members, as a leadership team, as a company. And number one is to have humility of heart. I would say that you have to be open to the feedback and the criticism and the constructive, kind of nature of what we're doing. Because if you can't accept that sort of criticism, you can never grow as a human being. It's impossible. And so we teach our teams that we got to listen to understand and listen. We don't have to agree with it all the time, but we got to hear it. Yeah. And the second ingredient of that is you've got to surround yourself with people that love you enough that will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That will be open and honest with you. And you yourself have to be open and honest with your team. And you got to tell yourself the truth. You got to tell your team the truth. And I require you to tell me the truth about what's going on in your business. And we have open and honest and sometimes difficult discussions. But I hope you guys get more comfortable doing that, because if we trust each other, if we love each other, if we trust each other, then we can have real conflict and because we want the same things.
Yeah, totally. And that's I guess, when you look at business, I also believe it's probably, the greatest personal development game, especially when you have a team and you have a growing team and you work in an environment. I think also when you're handling, responsibility of other people's money, people give you money, so they will make you make them more money. And money is very an emotional thing. So that feedback loop can be brutal in agency world, so how you handle that and how you handle the people. And I think it really takes a mindset. Where did you, and I know obviously you're a big reader, but where did you start to develop your mindset when it comes to focusing on who you are and how you helped your people?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of experience over time. I think I started listening to Tony Robbins back when I was 21, maybe, and they had the infomercials for unlimited power and some of those things. And I bought some of those programs, and that helped me a lot. But a lot of it, Scott, was just trial and error and a lot of struggle. I think, one of the things that I said a lot in my life, and I don't believe this is true, but I always said, like, I work best when I'm, backed into a corner, and so I would let myself get backed into corners, and then I'd have to fight my way out.
Yep.
And it was a good lesson, and I had to fight my way out of a lot of difficult challenges, whether it was financially or with clients or with team or growth. School of Hard Knocks, I guess. I learned some of that, and my mindset really developed about growth when I had my son, and my whole life changed. Obviously, my life was no longer about me, and it was about really, really caring for my family and making sure that they were taken care of. And anytime that maybe, I don't know, there's times in my life where I've shortchanged them by either not taking my client or not doing the right thing or whatever, and feel like I'm robbing for my family sometimes. And I work really hard to take care of them, So my family is just a huge driver of my
Yeah.
success.
Yeah. You have that at your forefront, right? Like it's family and what you do, which I think a lot of business owners, definitely have that same focus. I know I definitely do. You know, I see myself as a leader at home as well, right? And also, as of a business, but also in the community. Doing the good, doing good by other people as well. I always learn, if you help other people get what they want first. And it was a real struggle at the start because I really didn't understand the concept. But then as I started to develop that concept, I realized it was the way to get whatever you wanted, just help other people get what they want first. And I've started teaching my son that, and for an 11-year-old, that's not always easy. But that concept, just be patient, help people, be useful, be helpful is always going to set you up for a good life.
You and I, Scott, we're in a mastermind together. We're in a group
Mm.
of other sort of agency owners, and for 8 years in that group, I just gave and gave and gave and helped and helped and helped.
Mm.
And when I became an EOS implementer, that it paid me back a million times over. It
So good.
just it I didn't do it for that reason, but the fruits of my passion for helping have
Yeah.
turned into an incredible EOS practice working, and I'm doing what I love. I'm doing it with people that I love. I'm being appropriately compensated,
So good.
and I'm having a massive impact on their businesses, and I also have time for other things. So
Mm.
it's a good sort of, I don't know, a mirror of that, what you were just saying.
Yeah. How good is it?
Help enough
Like,
people get what they want, you'll
yeah,
get everything you want.
exactly. Giving value in advance of people ever giving you any money, and then one day, bam, it happens, right? And you're playing in your genius, which is awesome. And you can see the results that you're getting for people is because you do listen to understand, and you actually help, and you're prepared to ask people the hard questions. And I think that's one of the great reasons, right? Having someone who can like put the spotlight on you a wee bit as a business owner, like because as a business owner, I was reading a book in the holidays, and I felt really sorry for the owner, even though he's like he's sold his business for 500 million. No one in his family likes him, and his son said to him one day, "Look, the only people that listen to you are the people that you pay." And I thought, oh, how sad is that? Even though you're worth 500 million, no one in your family likes you, and the only people that listen to you is because you pay them. And I just thought, what a waste of owning a business and being known like that. Like it just didn't seem, yeah, it looked good, but I'd rather
Yeah.
not.
I mean, I guess he can wipe his tears with $100 bills, but that's
Yeah,
not the life that I want to live, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
want I
yeah.
want respect. I want to be loved for what I've given. I was on a podcast last week, and the interviewer asked me, when 50 or however many years when you're no longer here, what do you want people to have said about you?
Mm.
And I just want people to think that I was kind.
Yeah,
That's it.
nice, so good.
That's it. I hope that I was kind to people, and I hope that I gave them something.
Yeah, very good. Hey, I got to switch gears here. We're going to talk about marketing because look, you're a good marketer. You've been involved in the marketing, and you're in a mastermind with some of the best digital marketing agencies in the world, and we're fortunate enough to catch up every 90 days or so with them. Well, where do you see marketing going? Like, I've got some great thoughts on this, and I'd be keen to hear what you have got to say. But where do you see marketing going?
Well, some really interesting challenges coming in marketing for marketing agencies with the invention of AI and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was at a mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and the everybody was talking about AI being a giant threat to marketing agencies, and we're all trying to be on the right side of history of that. We want to be the.
Yeah.
I told my son real early when he was young. I said, one day I believe that either we'll tell the robots what to do, or the robots will tell us what to do. And so what side of that do you want to be on?
Mm.
And so I think there's an opportunity for you to be an expert in AI to help your clients with it, and to be able to guide them through it. And so I think AI is a real big opportunity, but not at the expense of personal relationships
No.
and intercommunication. there were people in our mastermind that were saying, "Oh, my AI is gonna answer my phone and it's gonna guide him through the thing, and it's gonna, we're gonna cold call with it." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hang on!" Like, I appreciate some of that, but you know, while there are some really great like electric cars, there are people who gravitate towards the classics and muscle, right?
Totally.
And while there are some great AI stuff, people are gonna gravitate. I think, I don't know. Remember how cool it was when you used to get an email and like, and it's like, you got mail, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh, great, I've got mail. And then how cool it was to get text messages. And now I hate all of those things.
Yeah. Totally.
Marketers ruin everything, and
Yeah.
marketers ruin
Honestly.
everything.
Yeah.
And so
Because the one,
there,
especially the ones that look for shortcuts.
yeah, the shortcut ones. And so we got to be really careful how we use these tools. But I also think that while other marketers out there are cold calling with AI, or they're answering the phone with AI, Scott, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call my clients, and we're going to talk, and we're going to have relationships. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to be that old guy in the room. I'm going to be the old gray haired guy in the room, but I'm going to be the guy who's having personal relationships with their clients.
Yeah.
So
Totally. If you can learn anything from COVID, is that people, when they were starved of human connection, wanted more human connection. And look, people see through. They can smell it. They can smell this AI thing, and look, you might get a little shortcut for a while, and it works, and the next minute someone's selling you how to do this because they did it. But at the end of the day, humans want to connect with humans. They want you to build trust with them. They want to know, especially in an agency world, that you are in their corner, helping them out. And here's the thing, we see that on a daily basis, because they're getting calls anyway from people that are cold calling them, whether they're from the Philippines, from India, from wherever. It's happening anyway. So AI is just going to increase that. It's just going to actually annoy people even more. So the ability to stand out, I believe, is going to be easier if you're authentic and you are true to yourself. So one of the things I think is amazing that people just haven't quite grasped is you've got a platform like LinkedIn, right? Or a platform like Facebook. And these platforms are free. Tell me how every business owner should not be on these platforms. Instagram, it's free. TikTok, it's free. It blows me away. I had a conversation with a business owner yesterday. Oh, I wouldn't want to be on LinkedIn. I was like, why is that? Oh, well, my clients aren't there. I was like, how do you know that? And then we started talking about his clients, and I was like, well, they're on. I know those people. They are on LinkedIn. Like why are you on this broadcasting channel for free? In a time, I think, I think we're in a time where people don't realize what we have available to us. And I guess I know this because I used to send direct mail. I used to have to send mail in the mail, and wait for 2 weeks and then follow up. I just think we live in extraordinary times.
one of my friends and mentors, his name's Alex Golfing. He says one of his most famous quotes is, "You can't communicate less and sell more."
No.
And so I think the biggest opportunity in marketing out there is personal branding. I think people want to do business with people. They want to do business with the authority in their particular niche. I think each one of us needs to have some sort of personal brand, some sort of relationships. This podcast is incredible because you get to talk to people. You get to know each other, and we get to have conversations. I do a lot of my sessions on Zoom, and sometimes with teams who've never actually been in the same room with one another. And then sometimes we do these sessions in person, and it's transformational because you see them as a person, and it's different than yelling to somebody on a screen versus like sitting in the room with them and understanding where they came from and what they're thinking and how they grew up. And there's just this personal connection that's been missing in marketing for a while. Marketers try to automate everything.
Yeah.
And again, I think people want to do business with people. And so
Totally.
be the celebrity in your niche, have a personal brand, and be on LinkedIn and Facebook. Do what you got to do. Like,
I totally believe this, and I was having a good conversation with a new client yesterday. She's a start of a journey with her, and it was really interesting. She's in an industry, the wine industry, and the wine industry, their marketing is so corporate, so boring. And we were started talking about brands, and you know the brand, but you don't know any of their marketing. You don't know any of their personality. And I said to her, if we do this together, it's you have to be part of this because you have such a beautiful personality. People and everywhere she goes, people gravitate to her personality. And I said, why would you not want to be in, like you will grow a brand even bigger because of your personality. And these other brands can't do that because they've all gone down this nice scenery, wine bottle, and people don't want that anymore. They want to know behind the scenes. They want to know who the owner is. They want to know where the grapes were growing and why the vineyard was left to ruin and why you turned it around and why now are you creating some of the best rosés in the world. Like why? They want to get insights. And she came away and she's like, right, cool. I'll she thought she was just going to get away with running corporate. And I said, well, we won't work with you if you're not involved. It's game over for us because you'll just become one of them, and that's not who this brand is. So once again, I just think it's fascinating that you can be broadcasting, on platforms for free. It blows me away. That the potential for it.
I mean, there's opportunity for you to take, a long form piece of content that you created and use tools in AI and things like that to chop it all up and post them on reels and stories and TikTok and LinkedIn and like there's a million free places for you to market your brand, but be a real person and create content, and then you can use that content multiple ways. And so,
and that's where, just getting in front of a camera and talking and sharing your insights, people want those insights. They want a little bit of knowledge that can actually help them, give them value. Talking to a young lad yesterday, he has created a business over the last 8 years and he just started giving value first. Now he'd have one of the biggest health and safety businesses in New Zealand because of that, right? Which is really cool. It's really cool to see it because I guess for a lot of people, and I know from talking to business owners, why would I give that information away for free? That's just, and I got that because when I worked in the corporate world, we gave nothing away for free. And I guess it is that mindset shift. And it's not till you see the fruits of it, 8-9 years later that you kind of, that it works, but it can be quite confronting to hear it.
It's always great when your clients come to you and they already know you. Like,
yeah,
oh man, I've watched all your videos. And, I had a client one time that signed up. They signed up and then I think we were in the process of signing them over. They're thinking about signing up. And they're like, hey, I just found this webinar that you did online. Is this the kind of insights we're going to get when we work with you? I'm like, yeah. And so they were so excited that they had watched a video that I had created at some point, like years ago. Yeah. And they come almost pre-positioned to buy when they know you already. And well, they got to know, like, and trust you. And
they've spent some time with you, right? They've got to hear your voice. They've got to see you, and they've got to get some of your knowledge and go, hey, I like this. This is what we need, and any business in the world can do this. I challenge anyone to, call me up and have a chat about that. If you don't think you can do it, trust me, you can do it. You can give away things of value and insights to get people to, position to buy from you because they want to. They want to buy from you because they know, like, and trust you.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's just the bottom line.
The crazy part is video speeds it up. Hey, man, I know you're a busy person, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I want 5 things. If you were starting a business, or let's say, you were starting a business tomorrow, what are the first 5 things that you would do, knowing what you know now about being successful in business, running successful agency in the past and selling it? What is it? What are some of the things that you know now? And I want one of them to be left field.
You want one of them to be
left field, like something that
out of left field. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Not this, what everyone tells me.
Right. So let me see if I can help you with that. So a lot of times, and I hope we can get to 5 here, but number 1 for me is don't build a product and then try and find a market for it. If you want to be successful, find a group of people you like to work with, figure out what their biggest problem is, and solve it.
Yeah.
Solve it in the most minimum viable product way possible so that you can deliver that product with ease. And once you've solved that problem for that market or for that industry, there's going to be tons of that market industry, all with that same problem that want to buy from you.
Yeah.
And so that's number one.
My biggest marketing lesson I learned was that.
Yes.
You know, people don't buy what you think they need. People buy what they want.
They buy what they want or need.
Yeah. And I was selling plastic toothpicks at the time. I'll tell you that story in March.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to hear that. So I think that's really important. And then what's really difficult, though. Oh, yeah. I mean, I all the time like, hey, we've got this thing. We got to go find a market for it. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be an uphill battle.
Ouch.
It's so much easier if you find a group of people you like to work with, and then you can become the authority in that particular market, and you're solving their biggest problem. The second thing, I want to make sure that you're charging enough money for that product. If you can't charge a client, I don't know what the number is. Maybe it's $2,000 a month. I don't think you're solving a big enough problem. No. Right? And so you want to solve a big problem because that's valuable and worthwhile, and it's gosh, you get a lot of self-worth when you're solving big problems.
Yeah. The only way to know if you're solving a big problem is to go talk to those people, though. You need to go deep and see how big enough this and what would you pay to solve this problem? And then that's a question that's never asked too. You know, like they'll go, oh, I'll charge $2,000, but maybe I'll charge $1,000. You know, but actually, what is it? If it does solve that problem, they'll pay for it. I like it.
The third thing I think I would say is you are going to have to figure out how to clone yourself as soon as humanly possible. You can't do this alone. The idea of you running a business by yourself is crazy. It's a hobby. If you want to go from being an entrepreneur or an individual to a real organization or a real business, you've got to get really, really good at delegating and elevating. And what I mean by that is you've got to figure out what are the things that I'm doing on a regular basis that somebody else could do at a lower rate so I can do the high value, high ticket items that need to be done in my business. So if you own a marketing agency and you're still building the WordPress website yourself or you're touching it at all, you've just lowered your hourly rate from whatever it should be as the CEO down to whatever it is as a web developer. Okay. And that takes you away from doing the high value items that you should be doing, which is you should be a visionary. You should be building big relationships. You should be creating JV partnerships. You should be speaking on stages and going to conferences and research and development, right? You have to be great at systemizing processes and delegating them to team members. Okay.
So one of the best things I ever heard, it was from one of my first mentors. He was actually on the first episode of the podcast. Kevin Eder owns Trade Staff, 14, 15, 16 different locations, plus a global business. He said to me, Scott, if you want to be promoted, you have to be replaced. And I was like, say that again. So if I want to be promoted, I have to make myself replaceable, right? So I have to actually build systems inside what I'm doing so then I can be promoted and someone else can come and take that job. And I just thought, wow, that is the game. Like, okay, how do I get someone to take over what I do? You know, well, actually build the systems, build the knowledge underneath it, and then help that person. And it was a game changer, and that allowed me to clone myself.
Beautiful. I think I'm on number 4.
You are.
Number 4. Master your particular niche, become the authority. People want to buy from the celebrity of the authority in their niche, right? You need to figure out who it is that you want to work with and position yourself as the authority in that thing. Like if you sell marshmallows, be the marshmallow guy, be the best marshmallow guy, seller, or whatever in the world. Okay. Position yourself really well.
And we all know brands that have done that, right? Yeah. You know, we all know companies that have done that. We all know people that have done that. And here's the thing I would say to that is people, they get scared of that. Oh, what if this? What if that? I don't really want to put myself out there. But here's the thing: if it's not you, someone else,
Yeah.
which is scary.
Well, imagine the conversation, if somebody wants to buy, let's say it's digital marketing, and they're like, hey, Lyn, I know you've done a lot of digital marketing. Have you ever worked with a roofer before? And you're like, well, no, I've worked with a plumber and an HVAC guy, but I'm never a roofer. Versus the conversation, hey, Lyn, have you ever worked with a roofer before? I'm like, oh, yeah, all my clients are roofers. And here's a list of like 20 that you can call and talk about your experience.
Yeah.
Who gets the job? The
Yeah,
guy with the guy that's really isolated or specialized in your particular niche.
Celebrity.
Okay. Number 5. I'm going to go left field here.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite stories. When I was dealing blackjack in Las Vegas, I dealt in the high limit pit at the Mirage. And so I dealt to every celebrity you can think of. I dealt to TV stars, movie stars, sports stars. I dealt to Michael Jordan. I dealt to Wayne Gretzky. I dealt to Dan Marino, John Elway. These are sports athletes here in the U.S. I dealt to movie stars and musicians and Jennifer Lopez and Vanna White and Uma Thurman, like celebrities. That's the kind of place that I worked. And somebody asked me one day, hey, Lyn, who's your favorite celebrity you ever dealt to? And I said, not only my favorite celebrity that I ever dealt to, but my favorite person I ever dealt to in my life was race car driver Dale Jarrett. And I want to tell you why. Because when Dale Jarrett sat down at my table, Dale Jarrett wasn't there to play blackjack. Dale Jarrett asked me about me. And Dale Jarrett asked me, hey, Lyn, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Did you go to school here? Where are your parents from? What's it like? What do they think you working in Vegas? Wow. Like he genuinely asked about me. Now, Michael Jordan, I dealt to 100 times. I don't know that we had, said 1,000 words to each other. Like we talked a little, but Dale Jarrett was interested in me and he was curious. Wow. And just recently, I was in Miami at a conference that I spoke at, and we went on a little dinner cruise in Miami around the Bay. And there was a young girl, and I was talking to some friends, and we were just having this conversation about politics and religion and God and what happens when you die. And this young girl came up to us, and she started asking questions, and she was like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about? And well, what happens when you die? And do you believe in reincarnation? Or do you have a soul?" And I turned to her and I said, "Gosh, you're fascinating." And what I realized in that moment, Scott, was to be fascinating, you need to be fascinated.
Yeah.
To be interesting, you need to be interested. And heck, I that's a super powerful lesson. And so when you build a team, this is not you just talking at them. No. We got to understand who these people are. We got to understand what they care about, and you've got to be curious. I hate to go with the Ted Lasso, be curious, but that is my number 5. Be curious. Good. So ask questions, get to know people. You have authority over, whether you know it or not, these employees, they look up to you. Imagine the feeling when you ask about them and ask them where they went to school and where they grew up and where their parents live. And like it, I wasn't a NASCAR fan.
No.
You can bet your ass I went out and I bought a Dale Jarrett hat the next week and I started watching him, and he became my favorite. And he because he showed a tiny bit of interest in me. Yeah. You can do that with your clients. You can do that with your team.
Totally. And the ripple effect of that, like all of a sudden, I think it's a great one. When I do my seminars, I give people, in the first 2 slides, I give people a part-time job. And that is to be a part-time marketer. And the reason for that is to be curious. Go and ask questions. Listen to understand, not reply. People are just trying to be interesting, all the time on social media, but just be interested in other people. Go and ask them some questions because no one else is, like no one else was asking you who you were, and then this one guy comes along and now here you are, favorite story, and number 5, which is, how good's that, right? Like you create a super fan just by being interested in someone else.
I tell that story, it was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. It was 25 years ago. I tell that story today.
So good. So if you're starting off a business, those 5 things, like seriously, just take a look. Actually figure out that, don't create the product you want to sell, create the product other people want to buy. Charge enough money for it. Like, seriously, and if you've got issues with money and charging with money, I do what I did. I started when I first started my first business, copywriting. Sold something for $200, then sold something for $500. The last piece of copy I wrote in that company was 15 grand. You can get used to building that up, but see
Can I add
value
to
in.
that?
Yeah.
Can I add to that? I think there is some challenge around people like feeling like, I don't know if it's worth that or whatever. Here's a hot tip for you. Do good work, interview your clients, ask them what it's like to work with you and what's their favorite thing about working with you. Record it, create testimonials out of
Totally.
it. Listen to your clients. Your clients will tell you amazing things, but I want you to believe them.
Yeah.
I want you to believe that you're changing their lives. And I want, when they say, God, this is the most impactful thing that I did this quarter was hire you, believe it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you believe in your product so great, like I do, I'm never selling. I'm always
No.
helping. I
Yeah.
know that when I come to talk to you about EOS, I'm helping you.
Yeah.
If you
Totally.
choose not to take that help, that's fine,
Yeah.
but I'm never selling you. I am purely helping you
Yeah.
because I know how impactful what we do is.
Yeah.
So
And
listen to your clients, believe them, use that as fuel to go out and sell and raise your prices.
how good. Masterclass, also clone yourself. Number 3 was clone yourself. You have to do that. Number 4, be the master in your niche, be the celebrity. One of the ways to do that is get on camera, give value in advance away, get on whatever platform it is, but wherever your clients are, potential clients are, start doing it. And then favorite story, hey, just be interested in other people. That alone could create you $1 million business, a multi-million dollar business, just that one, because no one else does that. Everyone else is trying to get a shortcut on AI, without actually going and talking to people and being interested. So great share, man. Hey, this has been awesome. Lyn, how do people get in contact with you? Like, do you want people to get in contact with you? I don't know. Like how do people reach out to you?
One of my core values, Scott, is help first.
Yeah,
I
true.
I I love helping people with anything EOS business. You want to talk? Let's jump on a call. I was
Yeah,
on a call right before this with
nice.
somebody I met on an airplane.
So
They're
good.
like, hey, can we catch up? And I love it. I am really easy to find. I believe I'm the only Lyn Askin on the planet. So if you type Lyn Askin into a search bar, you're going to find my LinkedIn. You're going to find my
Nice.
Facebook. You could send an email to Lyn Askin at eosworldwide.com. You could
Cool.
send it to Lyn at lynaskin.com. Yeah, you'll find me, I promise. If
Yeah.
you want to talk, you can go to lynaskin.com/EOS15, book a quick 15 minutes with me. But I'll make sure that you guys have the links and
Yeah,
the
totally.
show notes and all of that stuff. But I'm really easy to find, and I'm in a lot of sessions, but I will 100% want to talk to you and help you along in your journey.
So good. Hey, and we'll put all the information inside the show notes as well. So look, I really appreciate your time. This has been awesome. Our first international guest, and I think this hour we were only going to program for 45 minutes, but it's gone an hour. I know you're a busy man, so I'm going to let you go. But really appreciate you being on the show, and I thank you for your insights. You've shared a lot today, and look, I really believe in EOS. EOS has been a game changer for us, but not only that, having you as our, I guess I call you our coach, but you're more than that. You're a mentor, you're a friend, and you've really helped us shape digital influence to where it's going. So appreciate you. Look forward to catching up in March in Miami. Until then, really appreciate you being on the show.
Scott, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you and your team that trust me, be a part of your team and be a part of the process. I'm thankful that you asked me to be on the podcast, and I'm just I'm it's hard to express how grateful I am to know you. I met you in Miami a couple years ago, and you were just so kind to me, and we just sort of hit it off. And turns out we ended up working together. Now we're doing podcasts together. So
Good man.
just grateful for you.
All right, Lynn. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.